welcome back. It's Vicky here. I am joined today by my best friend, one of my best friends, Michelle, and I am in Shanghai to visit her. She just came back from Canada.
Yeah, hi everyone.
All right, so we have cheesecake here today as a dessert.
We do.
And then we also just wanted to chit chat and talk about things, right? We've been friends for many years, actually. We met at university at UBC, and now we've both graduated, but we actually chose a very different kind of path after post-graduation. Even though we went to university both in Vancouver, Canada, and we spent multiple years there, but at the end we actually made very different decisions of where to locate ourselves after graduation. So for myself, I actually moved. We both have families in China, and we've spent many years growing up and going to school in China. But it was different because I chose to come back to China to be closer with family, and then eventually landing a job here in Beijing. But then, whereas for you is actually quite different, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, initially I wanted to come back to China for work after undergrad. That was my thought this whole time. But then because of COVID and a lot of different changes were happening, and having just a major crisis as well, just kind of made the decision to stay there. And there was an immigration program, which kind of made sense for me to stay in Canada just to explore the opportunities and see if I could land a PR or anything like that. And yeah, at the end, I think everything worked out pretty smoothly. So I'm quite happy that I decided to stay.
Yeah, I think just the benefit of studying in Canada, as a lot of you might know, is not as hard to extend your stay legally in Canada, whereas when in the US is almost impossible. So we were actually, I think, both given the chances of staying, but then you kind of proactively chose to stay and then proactively chose to give up on the opportunity and then come back.
Yeah, exactly.
But I had a actually very different opposite path than you, because throughout undergrad I wanted to stay in Canada, and I was in Canada during COVID, but I made the decision of coming back. So our train of thoughts kind of
we're kind of opposite.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So you basically wanted to stay to first get the PR or to stay for the citizenship, and then also pursuing more opportunities locally, right? That was the main reason.
Yeah, because I thought, I'm here, I might as well stay, and because COVID was still happening all around the world, so I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I won't move anywhere just yet. It was kind of a hassle for me at the time. I'm also a bit lazy, so it was fine for me to stay in the same place at the time, being just graduated. So I thought, why not stay and experience what there is to offer.
Yeah, and then for me at the time, I actually had already been working in Canada, but later on I actually had a opportunity to do a master, even though it was remotely because of COVID, but it was actually not within Canada. It wasn't with a Canadian school. So at the time, I actually was the one that ditched my job and my life in Canada and packed everything and moved back to China, just because, as reasons you've mentioned, for family, and also wanted to pursue what opportunities there were in China. So here we are now. I am working full-time in Beijing in China, and then Michelle is working full-time in Canada, in Vancouver.
I don't know, thinking back, everything just happened really quickly.
Right.
And because of COVID, it feels like 2-3 years have just gone by without much happening, because I was actually back in China 2020 during COVID, and then I decided to go back to finish up my undergrad.
Right.
And then, I don't know, it's just really weird shifting from, I guess we could also dive deeper into, shifting from a student into adulthood, and how maybe it's different here versus in Canada as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
I know, yeah,
I'm sure we kind of share similar struggles, but also can have very different experiences.
That's true. And I think before we move on to that, I did want to touch on, I think we also talked about how just COVID changed everyone's life just drastically, where major decision we had to make during that time, we had to take into consideration of COVID greatly. So if there, like, what if it wasn't for COVID, I feel like we would have maybe made very different decisions in
Yeah,
life,
I
or
would
would have
think
had
so.
more changes in life, or less changes. We don't know, but we just feel like very sentimental, or we feel just like I have a lot of kind of thoughts towards that 3 years in our life. I'm sure you
Yeah.
can relate to this too, like everyone that's watching this video.
2023 is my year, I think. Okay.
Everyone keeps saying that. It's already
Yeah, I say that every year.
mid-year has passed.
People do work from home on Fridays as well. It's kind of like
Wow, that's so
it's kind of
nice.
like a hidden
Wow.
given. Yeah. Do you like your team?